Have you ever turned off the light, heard one tiny creak, and suddenly your blanket became a professional security system? That reaction feels silly now. You are probably not being hunted by a leopard under your bed. Probably. But for ancient humans, darkness was not just the absence of light. Darkness was the moment the world stopped giving useful information. During the day, eyes were superpowers. You could see tracks in the dirt. You could see fruit in the trees. You could see water, snakes, cliff edges, and the expression on your friend's face when they clearly had a bad idea. But at night, those superpowers faded. The same forest became a giant guessing game. A bush was no longer just a bush. It was a bush or a sleeping animal or a hungry animal. Or your imagination wearing a leaf costume and doing a very convincing performance. And that is where fear became useful. Ancient humans did not fear the dark because they were childish. They feared it because the dark removed certainty. And for a small, soft, slow ape with no claws, no armor, and very questionable night vision, uncertainty could be deadly. Many predators are more active at night or in low light. Big cats, hyenas, snakes, and other dangers did not need a scary soundtrack to be dangerous. They only needed humans to miss one signal. A snap in the grass, a shape near the trees. A smell carried by the wind. In daylight, the brain could check the evidence. At night, the brain had to guess. And when survival depends on guessing, the safest guess is usually the dramatic one. If your ancestor heard a noise in the dark and thought, it is probably nothing, and it was actually a leopard, that ancestor had a very short career in the family tree. But if another ancestor heard the same noise and thought, that bush is absolutely plotting against me, and it was only the wind, they looked silly for 5 seconds and stayed alive for another day. Over many generations, the cautious brains had better odds. Not perfect odds, just better. This is sometimes explained with the smoke detector principle. A smoke detector screams at burnt toast because missing one real fire is worse than being annoying during breakfast. Your fear system works the same way. It would rather overreact to shadows than underreact to teeth. For ancient humans, night changed everything. The group moved closer together. Fire became more than warmth. It became a glowing border between known and unknown. Inside the light, there were faces, food, tools, stories, and safety. Outside the light, there was movement, sound, and imagination. Fire did not erase darkness. It created a small island inside it. That island mattered. Around the fire, humans could share warnings. They could point toward dangerous places. They could remember where animals had moved. They could tell stories about storms, spirits, ancestors, predators, and strange sounds beyond the camp. Some stories were probably entertainment. Some were memory training. Some were ancient safety manuals wearing monster costumes. Imagine a child asking, "What lives past the firelight?" and an elder answering, "Nothing you should hug." That sounds funny, but it teaches caution. Stories turn danger into something memorable. A boring rule like "do not wander alone at night" becomes much stronger when the darkness has eyes in the tail. This may help explain why darkness became linked with monsters in so many human minds. The brain hates missing information. When it cannot see, it fills the blanks. And the blanks are rarely filled with cupcakes. A shadow becomes a figure, a branch becomes a hand, a distant animal call becomes something with too many teeth and extremely poor manners. The ancient brain was not trying to create horror movies. It was trying to keep the body ready. Fear sharpens attention. Your ears stretch toward tiny sounds. Your muscles prepare to move. Your breathing changes. Your brain searches for patterns. Even when the patterns are weak, blurry, or mostly invented by nervous imagination. This is helpful when real danger exists, but it also means the dark can turn ordinary things into suspicious little villains. And ancient humans had another problem. At night, humans were not just afraid of animals, they were afraid of separation. For most of human history, being alone was dangerous. A lone person was easier to attack, easier to lose, and harder to protect. Darkness made distance feel bigger. A friend 10 steps away could vanish into blackness. A familiar path could become a trap. The campfire could disappear behind trees. Suddenly, the world was not only darker, it was lonelier. So fear of darkness was also fear of disconnection. This is why the night pushed people together. It made the group more important. It made listening more important. It made trust more important. It made every small sound feel like shared information. In a strange way, darkness may have helped build human social life. When the sun went down, people gathered. They shared heat, food, warnings, jokes, stories, and maybe gossip about who ran weird when scared. The dark made humans vulnerable. Vulnerability made cooperation valuable. But here is the twist. Darkness itself was not always the enemy. The real enemy was uncertainty. A dark cave with trusted people and fire could feel safe. A bright open field with a lion could feel terrible. The brain was not simply asking, is it dark? It was asking, can I predict what happens next? Ancient humans feared the dark because it broke prediction. It hid distance. It hid motion. It hid intention. It made the world harder to read. And the human brain is a reading machine. It reads faces. It reads footprints. It reads weather. It reads silence and tries to decide whether silence is peaceful or extremely suspicious. When the lights go out today, that old system does not retire. It does not say, relax, this is an apartment with Wi-Fi. It says visibility has dropped. Unknown space detected. Please activate prehistoric panic mode. That is why a pile of clothes on a chair can become a crouching goblin at 2:13 in the morning. Your modern brain knows better. Your ancient brain wants a second opinion. This is also why children often fear the dark. Their imagination is strong, and their ability to test danger is still developing. Even adults may walk faster when a shadow moves. Then pretend they were simply exercising. The fear remains because it once helped. It is not proof that humans are irrational. It is proof that humans were shaped by worlds where missing danger cost more than imagining it. Modern life changed the environment faster than evolution changed the brain. We built lamps, doors, locks, cameras, curtains, alarms, and little glowing rectangles that let us watch cooking videos at midnight. But the nervous system still carries ancient settings. Darkness tells the brain, information is missing, and the brain answers, wonderful. I will now create 12 possible disasters. Most of those disasters are wrong, but historically, being wrong in the cautious direction was safer than being wrong in the relaxed direction. There is another strange part. Darkness does not only hide things outside us, it also makes the inside of the mind louder. In daylight, the world gives the brain plenty to process. At night, when the room becomes quiet and shapes become unclear, the mind has more space to imagine. That is when memories, worries, strange ideas, and random fears can walk onto the mental stage like they paid for tickets. For ancient humans, that imagination was not useless. It allowed them to rehearse danger before danger arrived. It helped them ask, what could be out there? That question could be annoying. It could be exhausting, but it could also be protective. So maybe fear of the dark is not a childish leftover. Maybe it is an old survival assistant. Nervous, dramatic, sometimes embarrassing, but deeply loyal, it kept our ancestors near the fire. It kept them close to the group. It made them respect unseen spaces. It turned tiny sounds into warnings and strange shadows into questions. And yes, sometimes it probably made ancient humans panic at a harmless rock. But if that panic kept them alive until morning, the rock had done its job. So the next time your room feels creepy after the lights go out, remember this. Your brain is not broken. It is running a very old nighttime program, built for a world where darkness could hide claws, cliffs, strangers, snakes, and one extremely rude leopard. The funny part is that we still obey it. We check the hallway, we pull the blanket higher, we pretend we are not scared. Then we hear one tiny sound and suddenly become professional cave security. So what do you think? If ancient fear still lives inside our modern nights, are we really afraid of the dark, or are we afraid of not knowing what is inside it?